everyone, this is Josh from before, and I'm here with McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superboy Prime, based on his appearance in Infinite Crisis. Looks really good in the box here, just like really clean lines, and the colors really pop out. Makes me kind of makes me wonder who sculpted this and who painted this and who worked on this box. It's like really nice and looks really like clean and modern on the shelf, but then doesn't draw your attention away from the figure. It just frames it really nicely in there. Oh, they don't have any credits on the back for who worked on it. Man, that's kind of a shame. If only there was, man, maybe somebody at the company who was like really made his bones on being a friend to artists and giving those guys the credit that they deserve. Man, if only there was a solution there. You know, it's just that the figures always turn out really nice, and it kind of makes me want to like know who worked on them and maybe look them up and tell them how much I appreciate their work and follow the other stuff that they work on. You know what I mean? There's definitely one person getting their name on all the boxes. Man, if only the other artists could get some credit too. Anyway, let's just get him right out of here. Oh man, this guy's pretty cool. I will tell you right away, there's a little sloppy Joe on some of the paint apps here. It looks like there's kind of some separation in some of the areas that are meant to be glued. I mean, you can see kind of these tubes are tucked under that shield, and I think it's meant to be a little bit more snug than it is. Just looks like it's pushing that shield out. But man, he looks really sharp. Love all these tubes. It's very just 90s to me. It reminds me of all, not just the DC comics from the 90s, but like even the Toy Biz, like Marvel. After the McFarlane toys came out and they started doing all these Marvel toys with super jacked up muscles and crazy detail and lots of odd, silly stuff. I'm not an expert on Superboy Prime or Infinite Crisis. I won't pretend that I am. I'm just talking about what it reminds me of. Looks really great. Harkens back to this original Wave 1 Superman that they did. I generally prefer personally when they go and render the textures a little bit more than just this smooth look. But I mean, obviously it looks really sharp. I don't have to tell you that. I think we're seeing a reworked version of this original. No? At first I thought we were getting a reworked version of this original cape, but it actually is different, and it's a much softer material than this. This is more on the rigid side. This thing is very thin and pliable. Really like the way this feels. So you got a nice looking head sculpt. The skin maybe looks a little chalky, a little too pale, but he's great. He's looking off to the side, but it's not too extreme. Great looking hair. Wouldn't have minded hitting a little highlight on the hair, the way they do with Superman. Maybe give it a little bit of a sheen, but it looks really great. It's got a good range in this head too. Can't look up too much. Definitely looks down. So these shoulder pauldrons are connected to the chest, so they do have some give. They're not. Sometimes they do them, they'll be connected to the bicep or the shoulder, and they'll move with the shoulder as you rotate. These aren't going to do that, but I really love the way when you move the bicep, that tube moves with it but doesn't restrict it. That's really satisfying. That's just fun. The fun factor is really high with little details like that. Double elbows with fantastic range. Not the worst looking cuts, not the best, but not bad at all. A lot of range in those wrists. They didn't exactly hide the ball joints, but the functionality is great. Lots of freedom here in this abdomen at the waist and the diaphragm. Tiny bit of forward movement, not enough for me, but it's getting better. It's getting better. Those of you who are holding out for a good ab crunch, I think it's going to happen for us eventually. It's just taking some time. I mean, you can force them a little bit. But not a ton of rotation at the hips. A little bit. Maybe if you move the legs out of the way, you can start to get them freed up a little bit. But pretty good freedom considering all these tubes attached to them and the way that they come in here right at the in that pelvis. Still has a lot of movement in the legs. That's really nice. So double knees and move those tubes out of the way, and he gets all the way up here. Man, they're really starting to do a better job of tucking these ball joints in at the ankles and making making the sculpt hold up aesthetically, but still have the functionality of them in there. It's looking good, and these seem real chunky, but you can kind of get them up under there and get a little bit of movement. The armor here, it's kind of interesting. It's not full-blown metallic. It's actually more this glossy. It's got a little bit of a bluish in it. Oh, actually, now I say that, maybe it's more of like a little bit of a slight tint of like a purpley red kind of cast. It might just be the light reflecting off of it. It looks pretty good. Usually I like when they go with the full blown metallic paint, but this looks sharp. It suits this figure design pretty well. He came with a flight stand. These things are really nice. Looks good up there. Looks a lot better flying. I think the knees kind of buckle, and the balance is a little weird when you stand them up. I think the flight stand is the preferred method of display. I like that he has these two neutral hands. I much prefer this to two gripping accessory hands, especially because he doesn't have any accessories. So while I wouldn't have minded like a fist or a couple fists, that would have been nice. I just appreciate that like the overall impact of the figure isn't diminished by just having two grippy accessory action figure hands. When they do stuff like that, it just feels like they're hobbling themselves. They get something that looks really, really artfully done, and then it just, the action figure grip hands with no accessories in them, it just kills the look. Here he is with some of the rest of his DC family. Definitely a welcome addition to this team here. And here he is next to some other recent Multiverse figures. As you can see, definitely fits in closer to this smoothly rendered art style than the one with the heavily textured, heavily detailed ones. But still works next to pretty much anybody from the Multiverse line. So there you go, guys. Superboy Prime, not a must-have for me personally. Just don't have much affinity for the character or anything like that. But it's really fun. Looks really sharp. Much appreciation to the artists at McFarlane Toys that crank out work like this and don't get credited for it. Really appreciate what you guys are putting out. I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.